It's like crack for conspiracy theorists. Now that we're finally starting to go back to the moon, many people find it odd, one might even use the word suspicious, that we seem to be having such a hard time with it when we did it so easily back in 1969. First of all, it wasn't easy. It was a monumental task that took up vast amounts of resources and money. It was a Cold War military campaign, basically. There are other reasons. And there have been some real successes happening lately. Some failures, too. But that's just one of the things we're going to talk about in today's lightning round video. If you're new here, lightning round videos are where I take questions from Patreons and channel members who support at a certain level, and part of their perks is they get to ask questions for the lightning round video. They give me questions, and I give the best answers that I can possibly brainificate. And you get to listen to my brainification, and if any of these topics sound interesting enough for a full-on video, please let me know in the comments. And if you would like to ask a question, the join button for memberships is down below this video on YouTube, or you can go to patreon.com/answerswithjoe and sign up there. Look at all the perks of the different levels, and yeah, if you have a burning question, hit me up at that level, we'll do this. Anyway, enough of that, let's get to the first question. Beachnut K asked, recently it seems that there's been a ton of missions crash into the moon on final descent because of instrumentation errors. Would it be possible to set up a smaller GPS-like constellation around the moon? Yeah, this is a timely question. Actually, Japan just lost a mission that crashed into the moon back in June, and there was another one in March earlier this year. In fact, out of the last 12 moon landing attempts since 2019, only 5 have been successful. One of which was the Blue Ghost lander from Firefly Aerospace, who became the first private company to successfully land something on the moon. Yeah, not SpaceX, not Blue Origin, Firefly Aerospace is, right now anyway, the only private company that's ever really fully successfully landed on the moon. Although they launched in a Falcon 9, so I guess SpaceX gets the assist. Actually, if we're being pedantic, Intuitive Machines landed their Odysseus lander last February, but it tipped over when it landed. It survived, but it didn't last that long because the solar panels were facing in the wrong direction. I'm sure people will fight over this, but technically, Blue Ghost was the first fully successful landing. But why are we struggling so much with this? How were we more successful at this back in the 70s? My buddy Felix over at What About It actually just did a big video about this just a few weeks back, so there's definitely want to go check that out. I'll put the link down below. Here's a few of the answers to that, though. So first of all, just comparing what we did back in the 60s is kind of unfair because adjusted for inflation, we were spending like 3 times as much per launch on the moon program back then. It was just way better funded. Also, we're just landing in more complicated places this time around. Like we're landing on the far side of the moon. We're landing on the South Pole. Apparently the South Pole is especially challenging because of the angle of the sun. It kind of creates these weird shadow artifacts on the ground, and it kind of messes up with the visual systems of machines. But yeah, there have been some successes. I actually shouted out the Chinese space program, the Chang'e missions from China in a recent video. And then, you know, obviously Firefly just pulled it off. But to answer your question about a moon GPS system, I mean, I don't know if that would actually fix the problem with the crashes that we've seen anyway. Most of them seem to be more hardware and communications issues, but I could be wrong about that. By the way, I was sure when I started researching this video that there was some kind of network of satellites in orbit around the moon for like navigation and communication purposes and whatnot. I was so very wrong. There are, right now, only 6 active satellites currently orbiting the moon. You've got NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter that images and maps the moon's surface. India's Chandrayaan-2 orbiter, which was actually meant to serve the lander on that same mission, but the lander crashed. Korea's Pathfinder lunar orbiter that's scanning the surface for water, ice, and other resources. NASA's Capstone mission that's basically testing out the near rectilinear halo orbit that eventually Gateway will use. And China's Keikiao orbiter, which was basically a communications satellite, and it's the only communications satellite up there. They needed it to communicate with their lander on the far side of the moon when they landed there. And I want to point out a couple other from NASA. They were originally from a mission called Themis, which was studying the effects of like solar winds on the Earth and on the moon. There were 5 of them total. 3 of them were around the Earth, 2 of them were around the moon. Anyway, a while back, they renamed those 2 orbiters to be part of the Artemis program, because that's kind of our moon program now, so they renamed it Artemis. So right now they're called Artemis P1 and P2. But they didn't stop there. They actually made an acronym out of it, and it's amazing. It stands for Acceleration, Reconnection, Turbulence, and Electrodynamics of the Moon's Interaction with the Sun. Totally unnecessary, but well done, sir. Well done. So yeah, the lunar infrastructure is like actually way smaller than I was expecting. I don't know why I assumed there'd be a whole bunch of like communication satellites up there. But there are plans for exactly such a thing. NASA is actually currently developing what they call LunaNet. That'll be a kind of like Starlink for the moon. Now, when I say it's like Starlink, it's not with, thousands of satellites like Starlink does. They don't really show the scale of it here, but it's kind of just a handful of satellites relaying data, but it's meant to connect the lander on the base with the orbiter and on the ground payloads and the astronauts, of course. And it does have a section here on their website about navigation services, so they may have something GPS-like. In this quote here from Cheryl Grambling, it says that LunaNet will provide a new paradigm for Earth-independent navigation, assuring crewed and robotic missions can quickly and accurately determine their locations and feed that forward to their planning systems. Now, what's kind of interesting is that the Blue Moon mission that landed earlier, Firefly's mission, it did actually use GPS to navigate. It was just GPS Earth satellites, GPS satellites around Earth. Yeah, it was the first time they'd ever tried this, but, since there are multiple GPS satellites around the Earth in, large geostationary orbits, they were basically able to use those to triangulate the position on the moon from Earth. And I guess it worked. But yeah, on their website here, they talk about it. It was a program called Lunar GNSS Receiver Experiment, or LUGRE. And it says it became the first technology demonstration to acquire and track Earth-based navigation signals on the moon's surface. And I guess they actually broke 3 records on, the distance from which GPS satellite signals could be captured. Oh, that's cool. That's a photo of the first sunrise the blue moon captured on the moon. Ooh, bright. So yeah, it's really cool that they were able to pull that off, that we can actually have some kind of GPS before we get LunaNet up there. And who knows, maybe using this technique going forward will help lead to fewer boom booms until we get LunaNet. All right, next up, Mark Hoffman asked, if you could pick one space-related event to happen in your lifetime, lunar colony, undeniable evidence of life elsewhere, be it microbial or complex, first humans on Mars, what would it be? I'd pick seeing Betelgeuse go supernova. Seeing Betelgeuse go supernova would be amazing. That would be awesome. You know what? I gotta be honest, after seeing the total solar eclipse last year, right now I just kind of want to see another total solar eclipse. That was amazing. I think 10 minutes after that eclipse ended, I wanted to see another one. Just bring it back. Bring it back. I know it's not space related, but seeing the Aurora Borealis is definitely on my bucket list. I would love to see that in my lifetime at some point. I know that for some people they see it every day, or every night. I've never seen it. I would love to see that. I just missed the moon landings. I was born just after they finished doing that, so I always felt like I got ripped off, So seeing another moon landing, yes, I would love to see that. That'd be amazing. And I want to come up with something different from one of the options that you listed there, Mark, but I gotta be honest, finding life somewhere else, be it from radio signals or finding bacterial life on Mars or something like that kind of tops all of it for me, isn't it? The difference that would make in society, how we would have to reframe our position in the universe. I just feel like that's the most transformative thing, and it would be a while to see that. I hope we get to see that. JD Creeper asked, does the very concept of consciousness terrify you? I've been learning about hallucinogens, and it's horrifying to me that I can experience abstract concepts like pleasure and pain for any reason. Brain in a jar, my friend. You are a brain in a jar. I believe it was Billy Corgan who said, despite all my scars, I am still just a brain in a jar. Something like that. Something like that. So you're using words like terrifying and horrifying. Those are pretty strong words. If you're really struggling, I would recommend you talk to somebody about that. Someone who knows what they're talking about, not me. But I think I get where you're coming from. I'm certainly not immune to the occasional existential freak out. It's kind of my thing, actually. It is kind of weird to sit with the idea that your entire experience of life is kind of a hallucination. Because your brain doesn't actually interact with the world in any way. It doesn't experience the world firsthand. It's trapped in a jar. The jar called your skull. It just kind of pulls in all these sensory inputs from your body, and then just assembles them together into a spatial and temporal experience that's immersive. And then the judgment centers of your brain react to that, and then it uses that to navigate the world. And your brain is always doing this, by the way. I still think that's why we dream, because even when we're unconscious, your brain has to create this hallucination. Or, by the way, you can test this out. You can go to a sensory deprivation tank, a float tank, completely take away all your senses of the world, and your brain will just construct one. I did a video about float tanks way back when. I went to a float tank place and I recorded it. I documented the experience and everything. And it was weird because like I remember laying there and I could see like the corners of a room. Like my brain just needed to create a room for me to be in. Like another way of putting it, like our brains don't actually see colors, like the color blue. It does not see blue. It receives signals from special cones in our eyes that are designed to see a certain wavelength of light. And then it interprets that wavelength as blue. Like really, it's kind of amazing that we all see the same thing at all. Although that whole blue, gold, black, yellow dress thing might have something to say about that. And I get why that kind of knowledge is kind of scary to think about. Because I've been there, I totally understand where you're coming from. But I also think it's kind of awesome. I mean, we as a species have scoured the cosmos, we have plunged the depths of the quantum world, and still the most baffling and unexplainable thing that we've been able to find is the jello mold between your ears. The most mind-blowing thing we've found is the mind itself. That's amazing. You could say that your mind blew itself. And I'll go a little bit further and say that understanding that we're talking about here, I think that's actually a really important thing for people to get in society today. A lot of people right now out there thinking that they know everything, that they're right about everything. I think it's important to remind people that we are all living very unique, very subjective experiences, and that your subjective experience is going to be different from other people's subjective experiences. I mean, even if the whole system works perfectly and your brain actually gets a perfect representation of the world around you, that representation is still coded with the patina of your past experiences, your fears, your likes, your dislikes, and the subconscious narratives and scripts that play in the background of your mind. I mean, not to even get into like chemical imbalances and neurodivergence and all that. Like all of these things color how we interpret reality. And I think that's interesting and amazing. And why we should take the advice of Ted Lasso and Walt Whitman and, strive to be curious and not judgmental. All right, next up, Sai asked, are you thinking about a successor? Trying to get rid of me? What's the deal? I mean, this channel is still my bread and butter, and I like being able to pay my mortgage, so I won't be going anywhere for a while. I do still enjoy it too, I should make that clear. But yeah, I mean, I have thought about expanding the channel, maybe bringing in co-hosts or guest hosts to kind of, fill in things when I can't be here. I don't know, I'm only one person and I'm always the bottleneck around here. I can only do so much, and constantly putting out new videos kind of limits me from doing, bigger and better things off platform. Like this year was kind of rough. I've done a couple of really big projects this year that have not come out yet. You guys will see them. I know I keep teasing them. They're on their way, I promise. But that's why, things have been kind of slow in the channel. I mean, this is the second video I put out in August, and it's the end of the month. And besides, new and different perspectives are always a good thing. I think it's good to bring in fresh, blood and ideas. It's, I don't want to get too stale. And many other channels have multiple hosts or, a team that kind of take turns or they bounce off each other in some way. I think that's a lot of fun, and I like that kind of energy. I do have a team behind the scenes on the channel. I got writers, editors, producers, they could come on board in some way. The problem is my channel is me. It's my name. My name is the name of the channel. It feels kind of weird to have somebody else come on and be a successor and take over for me, I actually did, for a hot minute, consider rebranding the channel to Laugh Smarter. I have this merch brand that I just launched. I thought about naming the channel Laugh Smarter for this very reason, that I could bring other people in, grow a roster, and, maybe let it grow beyond me. I heard somewhere that if your business can't run without you, it's not really a business. And that's still very much the case right now. And I am getting to that age where you start thinking about things like, your legacy and what you're going to leave behind. And I hate the idea that if something, heaven forbid, if something should happen to me, that, all these things that I've been working on this whole time would just kind of die with me. So, I mean, yeah, it's on the table, but I haven't really made any actual plans or steps in that direction. But I don't know. You guys tell me if I brought somebody else on to co-host and, do a video here and there, would that cause an armed revolt? Would there be pitchforks and torches? Granted, I think we need more pitchforks and torches these days, just, not directed at me. All right, we got one more question to get to, but before we do it, let's bless the new Patreon members and channel members with the power of Zoe. Let's do this. We've got from Patreon, Jason, Linda Jane, Augusta LaCravey, Willis Sentient, Amanda Johnson, Derek J. Anderson, Olin Field, Kayleen Harrop, Caitlin Peacock, and Scott Dunbar. And for new members, we got Jake Hedges, John Nickel, Kerry Christensen, Guar, Sun God, Kristen Evans, Lone One, LV Marty, Danny Gallagher, who's one of my writers now, Shrinking Violet, Zachary's Mama, The Edge of Every Corner, Lisa Marie Buckman, Pablo M, In the Shadows 0970, Tytha, Lazy Breeze, Annie, and John Gibson. All right, thank you guys so much for your support. And again, if you would like to join them and just become part of an awesome community, get access to Discord servers and early access to videos and all kinds of cool stuff, you can just go to the join button down below, like I said before, or to patreon.com/answerswithjoe. All right, last question goes to Brian Beswick, who said, "Hey Joe, which dystopian timeline are we living in? The Terminator, The Matrix, Blade Runner, or all of the above? Remember, the AI are always listening. Choose wisely." All right, listen, I called it. I called it a long time ago. We are living in a post-truth world. Like, as soon as we started seeing some like semi-lifelike images being made by AI, I was like, it's over. People, like, we're done. And people kept making fun of like how bad it was with the hands and stuff like that. But I said it then, this is the worst it will ever be. And now we can barely tell the difference. So yeah, people used to make fun of the hands and how it couldn't do hands. Well, now they make fun of how AI can't do text in its images. Well, they're going to fix that too, I promise. Like, all the movies you just listed involve machines gaining sentience and waging war against people with zoom zooms and pew pews and whatnot. I think that we would wipe ourselves out long before that. Long before that would ever happen. Not just because of AI, but because of how we keep using AI to reduce trust and erode the truth in the world. In fact, I would make the argument that a real superintelligence wouldn't fight us at all. It would just get us to fight each other. Because we kind of do that anyway. Like, I think we're so concerned with robots shooting lasers at us that we completely miss the fact that AI was poisoning our minds the whole time. I should say I'm using a broad tent here, and I'm basically including the algorithms that control what we see on social media as AI as well. It's a bunch of code deciding what we get to see and hear, and we are all just going along with it. Like what I was saying about subjective experiences earlier, we now have subjective realities that we are just completely incompatible with each other on. Now, for a lot of people, a disturbingly large number of people, they're fine with that. They've got their stories, they've got their narratives, it gives them what they need, and they just keep believing what they want. Like, why change it if it's working for them? But for a lot of people, they have absolutely no idea that they have fallen down a rabbit hole and they think they're getting accurate, unbiased information. Here, let me just show you something real quick. This is Ground News, and I've been using this for a couple of years now. It's a website and app that's designed to help you understand the news that you see every day. Here's how it works. They pull in articles from all over the world, and they organize them by story. So for each story, they provide helpful breakdowns and visualizations to help you understand potential biases, framing, reliability, even parts of the story that are being left out. They don't report on the news, they report on the reporting itself. And all their insights are backed by ratings from 3 independent media monitoring organizations. For example, here's a story about Senator Klobuchar and a deepfake of her discussing actress Sydney Sweeney. Right away, you can see the number of reporting outlets and that the majority of these outlets lean right. So why is that? Well, Ground News makes it easy to understand why. When you look at the headlines, the difference in framing is pretty drastic. So on the right, you have a headline saying, "She no fun," and another revealing that Klobuchar criticized Democrats in the video. Meanwhile, on the left, all 3 headlines instead focus on Klobuchar's push for regulating deepfakes. Just as important, though, is that they actually have each source rated by independent fact checkers, so you can see how factual the sources are. Because let's face it, a lot of news sources are just opinion sources. And that's fine, everyone's allowed their opinion, but you should know whether what you're reading is more opinion or fact. And that's the tool that does it. Listen, I worked for a newspaper for 12 years, and I have tons of respect for newspapers and reporters and what they do, but they do have their biases. They've got their conflicts of interest, and you have to navigate that. The point I'm getting at here is that Ground News gives you information about your information. The way we use social media today, you're just bombarded with information. We're drowning in it. This gives you the wisdom to make sense of it all and to not be suckered. I talk about Ground News in person all the time to friends and family and whatnot. I really think that the more people use it, the world would be a lot better place. And I think this is going to have to be the norm now that we're like firmly in this digital age. This is an important tool. Luckily, there's a discount. If you sign up with my link down below, it's ground.news/Joe Scott. You can get 40% off the Vantage plan, which is what I use. Has everything I just showed you. That's like $5 a month. That's actually less than the cost of one newspaper subscription. And it gives you access to literally hundreds of newspapers from all around the world. Smart. So click the link down below or scan the QR code right here on screen and get smarter about your news with Ground News. Go check it out. All right, so that's it for today. I want to thank everybody who submitted questions, and for anybody who was watching, if any of these stories are scintillating enough, if your brain is firing enough that you say, I just need a whole video on that topic or that idea, well, tell me in the comments. It could happen. Weirder things have taken place. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and if this is your first time here, I do videos on all kinds of topics. They're not all the question and answer things like this. I do one of these a month. But I'll put a little link up here. You can go check out or look at any of the things on the screen that YouTube might show you with my name on it. And I invite you to go check it out, see if you like it. And if you do, I invite you to subscribe. I'm going to keep making videos, so there'll be more stuff to see. But anyway, that's it for today. You guys go out there, have an eye-opening rest of the week, stay safe, and I'll see you the next time I see you. Love you guys. Take care.